Happy Supercharged Manifesting Monday. Welcome to the start of another week, a brand new Monday, a whole entire week ahead of us for us to use as we will to design and create our wonderful lives. I am, as always, super happy to be here on a Monday morning with the Money family. And so I'm going to wait for you all to come in and say your good mornings, give your love, do all that wonderful stuff that lets me know that you're here. Here we go. Here they are coming in. All right. So this morning we're talking about 3 new money traumas and a bonus one that actually was shared with me by someone. And I thought about it and I was like, oh my gosh, I've absolutely had this trauma. And so I want to share it with you. So good morning, everyone, all of you that are joining, whether you're watching live, you're watching on YouTube, wherever you might find this video or see clips of it. Mwah. Good morning to all of you. All right, so let's jump right in. I am sure that if you have been in our world, if you've been part of the money family for any period of time, you know about the 13 money traumas. I've been talking about these for probably the last, oh my gosh, maybe 3 years. I've been talking about these money traumas. And what's really funny and interesting to me, well, maybe not so funny, but really interesting is every time we do a money attraction challenge and I talk about the money traumas, when we get on the phones to enroll people, and I have some of the calls, people invariably say, oh my gosh, Tasha, when you talk about money traumas and you listed all 13 of them, I was in shock that I had 10 or I had 11 or, oh my God, Tasha, I had all of them, and in that moment, I always say, well, listen, the reason I came up with the list is because I've had all 13 of them. And if I can heal it, so can you, right? So even though we continue to identify new money traumas, I want you to know before we go any further that this is all about number one, awareness, and number two, an opportunity to heal. So, number one, just to turn the light on in the room, right? I always share with you guys when you're dealing with your finances and you cannot figure out what's going on, you're doing all the right things. And it's just like you're in a dark room throwing darts, like trying to figure out like what is stopping me? What makes me limit myself in my finances so much? What makes me do all the right things and it's just not working out? What makes me procrastinate when it comes to money? What makes me bury my head in the sand when it comes to money? Like, what's going on? I want it. I know that I have this burning desire to have financial freedom, financial peace, to have a wonderful life with an overflowing abundance of finances. But I just cannot seem to figure out what is disconnected inside me. And so the awareness is we turn the light on and we go, you've had some traumas in your life that where money was involved. You've had some traumas in your life where money was involved and it has caused you, again, I'm not going to go into too much of this, but during the challenge, one of the things that we talk about is how do you define a trauma? A trauma is any experience that leaves you emotionally altered in any way, right? So you had an experience, money was involved, and emotionally it left you angry, it left you sad, it left you hurt, it left you resentful, right? Guilty, ashamed, any of those emotional states, it altered you in a not so good way, is a traumatic experience. And it just brings it up and gives us the opportunity to heal it, right? So even though we're talking about traumas, I want you to know one, it's just for awareness. It's just for you to understand, well, if I've had that trauma, of course, one of the effects is post-traumatic financial disorder. It means you had the trauma and now you're dealing with your finances through the lens of, I don't want to be hurt again. I don't want to have to feel that level of anger or that level of pain. I don't want to feel so guilty and ashamed. I don't want to feel resentful at myself for past mistakes. I don't want those emotional states. And the reason that I felt them in the past was money. So no, energetically inside, you're going, no, I don't want money, because nobody wants to call in those emotional states anymore. But then over here, you watch the YouTube videos, you sign up for the classes, you read the books, you try to balance your budget, you try at your business, you do all the right things. Bless your heart, you're doing all the right things, and you're doing them with everything you've got. But it's like one foot is on the gas and the other one is powerfully on the brake. And you know which one's not making you go anywhere? The one that's on the brake. It's so strong. The emotional state and the emotional impact of the trauma was so strong for you that you, I mean, with everything you've got your foot on the brake and you cannot move forward. And it's not your fault, but you also don't know what's going on. And so that is why we talk about these traumas. And so I've shared with all of you, and I'll give you an opportunity in a little bit here to get the entire list of all 16, but I've shared 3 over the last 3 years, and now I've been doing a lot more work. I've come to a lot more awareness. Some of this has been through looking at my own life and realizing this needs a little bit more discussion. This needs its own category, right? These additional 3, they need their own category. And as I came to my awareness, or I've been in conversations with clients, I'm like, yes, they need their own category. These are 3 big, really significant ones. So here we go. Let us dive in. And as I'm sharing them with you, as you know, I want you to just tell me, just type them. So I'm gonna refer to them as number 14, 15, and 16. And whichever one of these apply to you, go ahead and type that number in the chat so I can see, okay, because as you know, we are getting ready to do a healing money trauma intensive. That's coming up here. And I like doing this conversation this morning is going to show me how many of you have been impacted by these traumas. And so almost help me to craft that intensive and what are some of the things that I need to talk about to help you with that, right? To guide you through that. So here we go. Number 14. How many of you have religious guilt around your desire for wealth? You have religious guilt around your desire for wealth. That is number 14. So that looks like it's a kind of guilt or shame that got instilled in you, most likely during your childhood, if you had a very strong religious upbringing that said money and the desire for money is evil. It's greedy, it's bad, it's wrong, it's sinful. Any of you that have that, you're going to go ahead and type number 14. You have religious guilt. For me, I know I grew up with First Timothy 6 verse 10 that says, for the love of money is the root of all evil. For the love of money is the root of all evil. As a child, it was like, whoa, I don't want anything to do with money because I don't want to be evil. I don't want to love something that's going to make me evil. For the love of money is the root of all evil. Or Matthew 19, verse 24, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to get to heaven. Now, I grew up with a very strong Christian upbringing, very strong. And so and to make it even more intense, it was Pentecostal, which meant like the pastor was at the pulpit with all of this passion and saying all these things. And I'm like a little tiny little church mouse, just a little impressionable little girl, totally sitting there in fear. Like anything he said is the absolute truth. And I'm scared. And he's saying, first of all, you're a sinner. And anything else that makes you a sinner and makes you bad, I'm listening carefully because I don't want to do those things. And so he's saying, if you become rich, like basically you just cut off your chances of getting to heaven. You best believe I was traumatized about money. Yes, I was. And so for me, number 14, Religious guilt. And it didn't seem like such a big deal as you were a young person, but as you start going through life and you need to pay the mortgage and you want a better life for yourself, and you have financial dreams, you can't help yourself. It's like this immoral thing inside of you that you have the desire for, and you're like, you're bad, stop thinking that, stop wanting more money, it's evil, it's wrong. That's trauma over and over and over and over again. And you have this constant internal battle between your desires and this strong thing that you've heard, that's been told to you, that it's you are going to be considered evil, greedy, bad, wrong, sinful if you want money. That is number 14. So I see all of the ones that somebody said it's better to give than to receive, right? It's better to give. That's the other one. It's better to give than to receive. So you know what? As I get my money, let me just give it away. Let me just give it away because it's better to give it than for me to get it. Or no, 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 I don't want any money because that's bad of me to keep desiring more than I need. It's all tied to religious guilt, right? And this is not to make religion good or bad. That is not the conversation. It's just to bring to our awareness how some of the things that we heard in that context led to trauma. Okay? So, for the record, because I know this is going to come up, I am a believer. I love the Bible. I love God. I love Jesus. I'm a Christian. And the way that people spoke things to me as a child created trauma. And it doesn't change any of the things that I just said. It's just a fact, right? So, there you go. Number 15. This is a big one. And I have recently had keen awareness about me, for me around this one. But as soon as I say it, I know there are a lot of people that are going to go, I get it, Tasha. I didn't even realize. This one is number 15, and it's generational money traumas. Generational money traumas. You feel stuck in the money trauma of others. Whatever traumas they've had in their life experience, you're stuck in it too. It's like their limitations. Some of you call this generational curses. Call it what you will. However you experience it, it's not even your own trauma. That's what's interesting about this one. It's not even your own trauma. It is the trauma of your forefathers, people in your past. Now, remember, we have 15 generations of DNA that we each carry around. 15 generations back. So think about 15 generations back and what you even know or might even consider about your family and your family line. I know that the world was very barbaric. My accent's messing me up. You know what I mean? It was really, when I watch movies of like the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th century, I don't know how humanity survived it. I really don't. And when you think about the way humans treated other humans for money, and you know that that's in your lineage, you best believe we have trauma. You best believe we are carrying the trauma of 15 generations related to money. And sometimes you don't even understand why you're doing things, why you have these emotions inside of you when you're in a certain situation where money is involved. And it's just a trigger for stuff that's inside of you that you didn't experience personally, but it's coming in through your lineage. I spoke to a Scottish woman once, and she said, Tasha, I have researched 5 generations back. 5 generations back. We're talking about what, 400 or 500 years of research. Nowhere in my family has anyone ever had any amount of money above poverty. That is 5 generations of poverty. Poverty today and poverty, and we have all kinds of government aid and all kinds of things to help us. Poverty in the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th century was a whole different ball game. And so if you're having that coming through, oh my gosh, it is crazy to think about all the stuff that's going on inside of you that you don't even have an awareness around, right? So the other thing is these generational patterns with money cause people in your life to speak things over you from their limitations. Like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Why are you always wanting more money? What is wrong? Why can't you just settle? Why can't you just be okay? Why are you so greedy? Like, nobody in our family has ever done that. Who do you think you are? And what do? That's traumatic. Forget it if you went and shared with your family that you have financial dreams and then they tell you their opinions from their limitations and their traumatic experiences with money, right? So how many of you have had that? Tanisha says, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Who are you? Nobody in our family has done that. Who are you to be thinking like that? Number 15. I want to hear anybody out here experiencing it. I was talking to a dear friend of mine yesterday, and she was sharing something, that was going on with her and her family. And I was just in awe because I always say life gives me content. And as I'm getting ready to do this healing money trauma intensive and writing the money trauma book and all this legacy work around money trauma, it's incredible how it's like I'm in a research lab and information just keeps coming to me. And she was sharing with me that in her situation, her son did the opposite. So, and he literally said to his mom, "You and dad are the reason why I am like this with money." And the way he is with money now is that he hoards it. And he has had whatever the trauma was the experience that he had watching his parents deal with money created trauma in him. And his response was the opposite. He hoards money. He is so in fear of having a repeat life experience of what he saw from his parents that he has done the opposite. Most of us, we're actually struggling because we are asking for more money, but we're saying we don't want it. He has the opposite response. He is hoarding the money to avoid the pain of ever happening ever again. But the problem is at the cost of relationships. At the cost of relationships. He has now valued money over everything because he's like, if the money was there, I would have never felt that pain. So it's so interesting to look at all of the dynamics, all the different ways that these money traumas cause us to have the kind of relationship that we have with money and the way we view others through the lens of money and avoiding pain. So think about that, right? So I'm going to move on to number 16. And this one is really interesting because what I realized while this one was brought to me by someone, I realized that I was like, oh, I don't know if I've ever experienced this. And then I realized I sure have. So this one is you've lived through a challenging economic time. You have lived through a challenging economic time, or right? So either your family was involved, maybe you were a child during the Great Depression, or maybe your mother and your grandparents experienced maybe the Great Depression, maybe a war, maybe some kind of economic downturn that really impacted. I was talking to another lady last week. I'm telling you, it's amazing. It's like everything is just coming to me. And she said, she grew up all the way up till she was about 20, 21. And she grew up, her father was a millionaire. And her entire awareness was, I'm a millionaire. And my father is very clear. All of this wealth is yours. You're set for life. And then guess what? The economic downturn of 2006, when he was a realtor or in real estate, that's how he had his millions, happened. And like overnight, lost it from multimillionaire to zillionaire. Zero, gone. Right? And so, yeah, trauma for her. Growing up thinking you're going to be a millionaire and overnight it's just gone, right? So even though at the time she wasn't needing to provide for herself. And you would say she wasn't, impacted so strongly by the economic downturn. The fact that her father was impacted her, caused her trauma. So, another lady I spoke to, she said, I feel like I have my great grandmother in me who lived through the Great Depression. Like she's always within me. And what this woman said, which was so interesting, she goes, I have $1 million retirement account, $1 million in my retirement account, but I cannot feel like I have enough money. I'm in constant fear. Right. So, and she languaged it so perfectly. It's like, because I grew up with a family who always talked about and acted from the Great Depression and hoarding and keeping, and we never have enough, and let's live in fear around money. She acts out in that way, even when she has a lot of money, can't feel like she has enough. Right. So for me, what I realize is this is where I experience guilt and shame with money. So I know that my mother is the daughter of her mom, who lived through the Great Depression. But then my grandmother also had 10 kids, 10 kids in the country, very little, so kind of the same conditions continued throughout my mother's formative years. And so my mom lives from a very like, nothing's wrong with it, even if it's broken, let's get it fixed. And so, like they will repair something 10 times while we could have bought a brand new one in the meantime. And so when I find myself going, okay, well, it's broken, let me just buy a new one. Oh my God, the guilt and shame that I have over that kind of thinking. Or I go in the pantry and I'm like, this has been in here for 3 months, that let's get rid of it. The guilt and shame around you're wasteful with things that cost money. And so that's how I experience the traumatic results of my mother and my grandmother living through those times. So start to think about that and watch, because you're thinking it's just a can of soup, or you're thinking it's, the tip of your shoe is broken. And what do? We never think to repair it. Well, that's not the way my parents are, or my grandparents. Everything is repairable, everything, right? So you're thinking, oh, that's all that there is to that. No, it goes so much deeper with you with money. It shows up in every facet of how you experience money, how you call it in, how you have enough, you don't have enough, because it's all of these traumas have left a major impact on you. Right? So number 16 is you live through a challenging economic time. Now I'm going to read number 17, and thank you, Valerie Utton, if you are watching. Valerie is helping me with the editing and pretty much putting together of the book that I'm writing on money trauma. And I love her. We have such a great relationship. And she said, I want to suggest number 17. So I'm going to read this to you, because as soon as I read it, I was like, that is absolutely me. And I'm sure it might be you. So this is number 17. You're too embarrassed by your lack of knowledge about money to ask for help. You're too embarrassed by your lack of knowledge to ask about money. And I remember for me, this was when, like my mom was so good with money, but she never ever really sat me down and went through this is how you write a check. This is how you make sure you have enough money. This is how you pay your bills, right? The management of money was never a conversation. My mom was always like, it was always from a fear perspective. Save for a rainy day. Make sure you save for a rainy day. Make sure you don't, you sacrifice. It was always that kind of conversation, but not the like strategic, this is how you handle money conversation. And so Valerie says, there might be people who were never taught and then watch people around them succeed financially. This causes the person to feel stupid, that they were not able to figure it out themselves. And instead of asking for help, step away from your family that's successful or your friends that are successful, and just bury your head in the sand with money. You're just like, I still want to deal with it. I don't know how, I've never figured it out. And let me just put my head in the sand. So this would be number 17. Little did you know we were going to have a bonus one, right? So number 17. I want to talk right now about the beginning steps to healing. Three things. And we've taken a lot of time this morning to walk through these additional 4 money traumas. So I want to invite all of you. I want you to download the PDF for this. So I want you to type in the comments the word healing. You are going to have two things happen when you type the word healing. One, you're going to get a message from me in Facebook Messenger that's going to give all of you that type the word healing the PDF with all 16 money traumas. You can read them all and actually go back through and check off. You've been doing this work for a while. How many do you have left? How many do you still see playing out? How many do you have that need healing? Right? So download the PDF, print it, and at the bottom of the PDF is a 3-step process that you can do as soon as you read that list, you can do to start the healing. Literally do these 3 things and the healing process will begin. So I want all of you watching to do that immediately, right? Get the PDF, read the last 3 things at the bottom and make sure you do them so that you begin the healing process. Now, here's the thing. I decided, as those of you that have followed me for a while, you know, I'm always talking about the money traumas when we do the challenge and bringing everyone's awareness to this is what's happening. My daughter has a saying. She says, "Mom, make it make sense." Right? Make it make sense. This is my giving for you to make it make sense. When you don't know that you're suffering from post-traumatic financial disorder, you've had a traumatic experience in your life related to money, and you cannot understand the impact it has on your financial success. You don't know what's going on. Nothing about why you're not successful financially makes logical sense to you. And so you believe the solution is to work harder. Let me just work harder. Let me find more opportunities. Let me, figure out this business. Let me figure out this funnel. Let me go do more. Let me just do because that is the solution. It is not. Working harder is not the solution to money traumas. Healing is the solution. Once you can heal the experiences, what happens is you now vibrate at a different energetic frequency that causes the flow of money to be easy. You're no longer trying to protect yourself from pain or guilt or shame or resentment, right? So the solution is to heal it. Does that make sense to all of you? And what I'm offering for you guys now, I told you last week that we're going to do 2.5 hour, maybe intensive just around the healing. And what I want to show you how to do in this intensive is to actually go back to the experience that caused the trauma and change it. That's the power that you have. No one's talking about this enough. No one's showing you how to do that. Like you are not a prisoner to the experience. You don't have to live it out forever. Whatever happens 15 generations in your past, you don't have to be a prisoner to it anymore. You can learn how to heal it. And once I teach you how to heal it, you have the process for life. So for 24 hours, those of you that are here, we've been giving you all kinds of opportunities to get ready. You have 24 hours to get this workshop. It will be June 11th from 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern. It is going to be priced. I talked to the team, got it down to $250. But those of you that are here watching and you typed healing, you're going to get in Facebook Messenger a link that allows you to register for $199. Okay, so for 24 hours, you get to have this money trauma healing intensive with me. All we're going to talk about is the healing of the traumas. We're going to identify them. We're going to look at the memories that created these traumas, the experiences that you had, and I'm going to walk you through step by step. This is the time to ascend, to get yourselves beyond the trauma, beyond the limitations, beyond the wounds, beyond the lack, beyond all the stuff in your energetic field that has to do with these traumatic experiences. Rise above them and set yourself free. Heal them. All right. So I'm going to ask the team, put the link in the comments for those of you that are not on Facebook or however it might be, you'll see the link. You can click the link as well to register for the class, but you have 24 hours. I asked the team to do this for you guys, so come through. 24 hours, $199. Go ahead and get yourself booked. I will see you on June 11th for 2.5 hours, me and you, and we're going to get this done. Forever healed. And here's the thing. It's yes, forever healed. And if it ever shows up again, what you're going to have after this workshop is the tools and the process. I love processes that you can use anytime. That's a secret to my success, honestly, is that no matter what happens, I have a thing. I have a way that I can use to resolve it, to get myself beyond it. That is the key, having a process. All right. So I love you guys. Go ahead. Type the word healing, 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 healing. Fill up Facebook. Get the link in the comments if that doesn't work for you. Get yourself registered. I will see you all June 11th. Let's do it. Mwah. Have a great Monday, everyone. Download your PDF. Do those 3 healing steps right now. Okay, let's get that started. Bye-bye.